Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you for being here today. In my video, I am going to be making a card with a new exclusive stamp set that is part of the Simon Says STAMPtember event. This stamp set is the Pretty Pink Posh Coffee Friends stamp set, and it is limited edition. If you are unfamiliar with the STAMPtember event, it is hosted by Simon Says Stamp during the month of September each year. It's basically a stamping party that happens all month long. They have many different stamp companies from all over who create an exclusive stamp set just for this STAMPtember event. These stamps are limited edition, so once they're gone, they're gone. And even though this set was designed by Pretty Pink Posh, it is only available in the Simon Says Stamp store. And I will have a link to this product as well as all products that I use in my video today down in the description box below, as well as on my blog. So let's take a closer look at this stamp set. There are these two girls holding coffee, and there is a coffee cup. There are also some, you can use those as peppermint sticks or cinnamon sticks if you wanted to make this some tea, or even hot chocolate. And there are some sentiments, sending warm thoughts, warm and cozy wishes. And then there are some coffee cups. There's a small set and there's a larger set. So you can see that each one of the images for the small set, there's a little bit of a larger coffee cup down below. And a couple of those can be colored with markers or colored pencils. And then the one that is the black image of the coffee cup, that would be a solid stamp, so you can ink it up with your ink pads so that you don't have to color it and you can get a solid impression. So I'm going to be doing some coloring with my Copic markers. I stamped out both of the girls. These are the only stamps that I'm going to be using for this set. I stamped it out onto some Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth cardstock with my Memento Tuxedo black ink, because that's what I use when I color with Copics. They are alcohol markers, and it's important that you get a good paper and the right ink in order to blend those markers together. I'm going to list down in the description box below all of the markers that I use for my coloring. So if you wanted to replicate any of these colors, you'll have them there. And I'm basically going with a fall theme. So I chose colors that represented fall. So I have some teals, I'll be using some reds and some oranges, some yellows. And I'm going to go ahead and set this to music. If you want to watch the coloring, please do so. If you don't want to watch the coloring and you want to just skip to the card making process, I will have the timestamp for that in the description box below. going to be making a scene card, so I'm going to bring in this Pretty Pink Posh fall tree. This is brand new from Pretty Pink Posh's fall release, and this tree is available in the Simon Says stamp store as well, so if you wanted to pick up both sets, you can pick them up in a one-stop shop. Okay, so I went ahead and die cut my leaves. So the tree comes with a set of leaf dies, and I die cut them using the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth cardstock, and I just inserted them back inside of the cardstock instead of throwing that scrap away, because I'm going to color these up with my Copic markers, and I'm going to be using all of the same colors that I used when I colored up the girl images. So you can die cut them using colored cardstock, but I wanted to use the Copic markers because I wanted to have the same type of shading just as I did with the images of the girls. So that's why I chose to color these up. So by inserting them back in the cardstock where I die cut them, it was easier for them to stay in place because you can see how small these images are. And the cardstock is actually stuck to my sticky grid mat for my Sizzix stamp and stencil tool. So that mat that is underneath it, it is sticky and it's holding it in place. So basically I am taking the darkest color for the color family and I'm coloring a straight line down the middle. You can see the stitching down the middle of those dies. I'm also putting the darkest color at the very bottom of the leaf, and then I'm coming in with the mid-tone and going over that color, going over the dark color and extending a little bit further outward, and then finally coming over the entire leaf with the lightest color in the color family. So for each one of my leaves, I do use a 3-color blend. So I have a dark, a mid-tone, and a light. And I do that for all of the leaves, and I'm just using the same colors that I used in the outfits that the girls had on, but I do also bring in an orange. I don't think I included any orange in the outfit of the girl stamped images, so I do bring in some orange markers. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then once I'm done, I will add a white gel pen to add just some extra depth to these leaves. And I actually die cut 2 sets of the leaves and color another one off camera. So next I die cut a border out of a stitched border die, and I did 2 of them, and I'm just going to ink them up with some Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to use the Mowed Lawn at the bottom, and then at the top I'll be using the Twisted Citron. The Twisted Citron is a lighter green than the Mowed Lawn. The Mowed Lawn is the darker green. So I just put those panels on my sticky grid, and I'm just going to ink up those panels because this is going to be my grassy hillside for my scene. So here's where I add the Twisted Citron right to the top. Then I'll come back in with the Mowed Lawn and just make the green a little bit darker at the bottom. And then once I've done that, I'll come back in with the Twisted Citron and just blend that a little bit better. Next, I'm ready to work on the background of my card. I cut a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock to 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and I'm going to create the sky. So I'm going to start out by adding the Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink to the very top of this layer, and I am going to be making this in a landscape form, so I'm working on the 5¼ inch side of my cardstock. After I add the Candied Apple, I'm going to come in with the Carved Pumpkin. This is a bright orange ink, and I'm going to blend that across right underneath the red color. Once I finish that one, I am going to add the Mustard Seed ink, and I am just using some sticky notes to put on that inked part of the cardstock just because I need to hold the cardstock down and I don't want to get ink on my fingers, and I don't want to get fingerprints on the actual paper, because once you have that ink on there, it's very easy to get fingerprints, and I didn't want to get that on there. So that's why I'm holding it down with the stickies. So once I add all the yellow color, which again, that's the mustard seed. I just come back and start again at the top and just give a little bit more ink to make those colors a little bit darker. So I add more candy apple, then I come back in and add more carved pumpkin. It also helps to blend them a little bit better as well. So that is my background. I'm going to go ahead and spray some water on all of these panels. I'm going to let that water soak into the cardstock for just a second, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and just press it on the cardstock to bring up some of that water. It's also going to pull up some of the ink from the cardstock, and it's just going to make a really nice effect on the cardstock. I'm also going to take some shimmer spray, which has a nice shimmery glitter to it, and spray that on the background. And then I'm just going to spray with water all of this ink just to clean up my platform. Next, I die cut the tree die out of some brown cardstock, and I'm just inking up the edges with some walnut stain ink. You see the difference between adding ink to your die cuts and not adding ink? I think it just pulls out a lot more depth in those die cuts. So I go ahead and add ink all around the branches and on the left and right side of that tree. And now I'm ready to stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and put my card background in my MISTI, and I'm just kind of positioning everything where I want it because I need to see where to stamp my sentiment. So really I just need to place some of the bigger images like the girls and the tree, and then I go ahead and place the sentiment stamp where I want it. I know I want it right above where the girls are in that empty space. And then I just remove all of those die cut images, and I go ahead and hold that background down with my magnets and stamp down the sentiment. And my sentiment says, "Sending warm thoughts." So now that my sentiment is stamped down, I can go ahead and start building my card. So I'm going to start by adding the larger layer of the hillside. And I did actually cut that hillside a little bit longer than the card width, so I will need to cut some off there on the left-hand side. I'm going to trim a little bit off the tree at the bottom of the tree because I don't want to have to worry about it extending past the bottom of the card. It's going to be tucked between the hillside borders. I'm going to go ahead and glue my tree down, and then after my tree is glued down, I'll be able to add the top hillside border. And I'll just snip off the excess border that's on the side of the card. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue the girls down, making sure that they are positioned so that they're looking at each other. And then I already positioned all of the leaves where I want them, and I'm going to glue them all down. So I have a leaf pretty much on every branch of the tree, and then I have some of the leaves scattered in the grassy area, and there's also a leaf that is flying in the air. And after I glue down all of those images, I will glue this to an A2 size card base. My card base measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And that will complete this card. So if you like this stamp set, I do not suggest that you wait to purchase it because it is limited edition, and in the past many of the Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember exclusive stamp sets have sold out quickly. And once they're gone, they're gone. They do not restock. So there will be links down in the description box below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe for more card making inspiration. Have a great day. Bye-bye.